Many hikers and outdoor enthusiasts go missing in our state and national parks all over the country, but a handful of those are never found despite a large search and rescue effort. The circumstances behind some of these disappearances seem to defy logic and baffle experts. So join me as I count down 10 more of the strangest state and national park missing person cases out there. Number 10. In June of 2021, a 27-year-old Dublin native went hiking inside the Grand Teton National Park but never emerged. Cian McLaughlin was reported missing on June 13th after failing to show up for work. More than 140 witnesses were interviewed, and authorities concluded that Cian was last spotted in the Lupine Meadows Trailhead area in the western portion of the park. The search began on the night of June 13th with helicopters, ground crews, and numerous search parties involving park staff, search and rescue personnel, dog teams, and a handful of volunteers. Cian is described as having long hair, round glasses, and wore a red Apple Watch, and carried a red phone as well. It was not known what exactly his plans were or how long he intended to be out there on that trail, but authorities speculate he may have been headed to Taggart Lake, based on a conversation he had with a witness. If you have any leads or info regarding this case, call or text 888-653-0009. Number 9. On July 2nd, 2021, a 23-year-old experienced hiker went missing during her hike inside the mountains of Red Lodge in Montana. Searchers believe Tatum Morrell left her campsite on the morning of Friday, July 2nd, to scale a 12,000-foot peak but never returned. Her overall plan was to scale 5 such mountain peaks in the West Fork of the Rock Creek area. Red Lodge Fire Rescue and the Carbon County Sheriff's Office coordinated the search and rescue effort. That included dog teams, several dozen professional search and rescue personnel, and aerial assistance that lasted for more than 2 weeks before the search was scaled back and eventually called off due to the lack of results. It was stated, however, that Tatum contacted her mother on the night of July 1st around 8 p.m. via a GPS communication device. Unfortunately, authorities were unable to trace her location beyond the Shadow Lake area where her campsite was set up. If you have any information about this case, you can contact the Carbon County Sheriff's Office at 406-446-1234. Number 8. In May of 2021, a 23-year-old hiker from Nebraska arrived at the Hawaiian island of Kauai to spend 2 weeks on a solo hiking and camping trip for spring break. Samuel Joseph Martinez, a University of Lincoln, Nebraska student, was reported missing on May 25th after he missed his flight home. Hawaiian police, fire crews, and Kauai park officials scoured the island for weeks, interviewing countless hikers and also utilizing helicopters, drones, and search dogs. It was not known what Samuel's exact destination would be, but due to the total lack of clues, the search would end up being scaled back and put on hold until new leads were brought to the table. If you have any information pertaining to Samuel's whereabouts, contact the Kauai Police at 808-241-1711. Number 7. On July 25th of 2021, a 72-year-old hiker was reported overdue by family members after failing to check in with them after the day of his hike inside the Yosemite National Park. The National Park Service reported that Richard Judd ventured off on a day hike from his camp on the morning of May 25th and had planned to hike from the lower Mercedes Pass Lake to Red Pass. He was believed to be wearing a blue shirt, tan shorts, and a tan hat. The search for Richard is still classified as being active, and anyone with any information is encouraged to contact the park's investigative services at 888-653-0009. Number 6. In May of 2021, a 41-year-old man went missing inside the Mission Ridge Ski Resort area of Wenatchee, Washington. Pedro Burrito was last seen on the morning of May 9th, but after that, no other signing of Pedro had surfaced. It was not known exactly what brought Pedro to the resort, but it was stated he may have intended to hike the Pipeline Trail to Clara Lake. On the afternoon of his reported disappearance, his vehicle was found at the resort's parking lot. Authorities believe there was no indication to intend he would be out there for very long, as some of his personal items were still left behind inside the vehicle. Cian County Sheriff's Office initiated a search, which focused primarily at the Mission Ridge ski area, followed by trail searches, beginning at the Pipeline Trail and ending at Marion Lake. For several days, dozens of searchers as well as canine teams and helicopter searches scanned the area, but no other clues were found. Now, it was stated by family members that Pedro may have suffered from an injury prior to disappearing. I was unable to find any other specifics for this. But after 3 weeks of intense searches, it was called off due to the total lack of clues and depleting resources. If you have any new information to contribute to this case, contact the Cian County Sheriff's Office at 509-663-9911. Number 5. On February 3rd of 2021, a 42-year-old hiker disappeared inside the Cummings Falls State Park in Tennessee. Bob Crusade III arrived at the park around 1:30 p.m. before entering a trail on a short solo hike but never returned. This set off red flags for Bob's brother Carl, given he was always reporting back from his hikes and was good about communication. There was nothing in his car to indicate any abnormal activity, but it was stated by investigators that Bob was an attorney who may have had his license to practice law suspended after failing to respond to a formal complaint. I was unable to clarify if the suspension occurred before or after his disappearance. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation took lead in the search, combing through 282 acres of the state park and utilizing search dogs, horses, search and rescue personnel, thermal technology, and even aircraft patrols day and night. Those who knew Bob state that he was an experienced hiker and had explored trails in Dayton, Middleton, and Springboro in recent weeks. After several days of searches, the park was reopened to the public. The park is described as being rugged and includes a 75-foot waterfall that attracts many folks. Many hikers and outdoor enthusiasts filter into the park on any given day, but no witnesses have come forward to confirm whether or not Bob was still in the area. Contact 1-800-TBI-FIND if you have any tips or leads on this case. Number 4. In May of this year, a 37-year-old went missing during a camping trip near Roswell, New Mexico. On the night of May 5th, Rafael Camposano told his family he intended to go camping out in the Roswell desert for the night and would return the following day. No specifics were given on the exact location of where he intended to camp, but Rafael's red Toyota extended cab pickup truck was found parked on Perimeter Road the following day. Under Sheriff Charles Islas stated that Rafael had medical issues and wouldn't wander off for very far for very long for this very reason. On top of this, daytime temperatures had reached as high as the mid-90s. Chaves County search and rescue took point in the search, involving several dozen personnel, ATMs, drones, K-9 teams, and even assistance from the U.S. Border Patrol. Given the flat and open terrain, many involved in the search were baffled that no clues for Rafael would turn up. After several days and nights of intense searches, authorities made the call to suspend operations altogether. But if you have any information about Rafael's disappearance, contact 575-624-6500. Number 3. On August 13th of 2020, a 37-year-old Missoula man went missing during his hike inside the Bitterroot National Forest in Montana. It wasn't exactly known what Philip Matthew Stokey's plans were, but investigators believe he may have entered Bass Creek drainage system within the park for a solo day hike. After being reported overdue by family members, Ravalli County Sheriff's Office conducted an intense search for Philip, consisting of nearly 400 man-hours and involving several agencies, search dogs, Ravalli County Search and Rescue volunteers, 2 Bear Air personnel, the Missoula County Search and Rescue K-9 units, True North search dogs, as well as several aviation teams were utilized in the search. But despite these combined efforts, all potential leads were exhausted and no clues have turned up in the search for Philip. If you have any information about this case, contact the Bitterroot National Forest Park Services at 406-363-7100. Number 2. On July 23rd of 2021, a 33-year-old climber disappeared during his descent on Mount Jefferson in Oregon. A significant amount of resources were used to try and locate Stephen Van Pelt of Salem, Oregon, who may have had an accident while making his way down the mountain on a solo climbing trip. The search for Stephen, an experienced climber and outdoor enthusiast, began on the afternoon of July 23rd after family members reported him overdue. The search involved several mountain rescue teams, aerial searches, as well as search dogs, covering extreme mountain terrain, glacier drifts, as well as rock and debris fields. After several days of intense searches, the search would be suspended due to a total lack of clues and the exhaustion of resources. Number 1. On February 3rd of 2019, a then 9-year-old girl went missing in a rural part of South Dakota after running away from her Black Hills Children's Home, which is a residential youth treatment facility just outside of Mount Rushmore near Rockerville. Serenity Dinard ran away on a cold Sunday morning from the home after a disagreement with one of the facility's staff members. She was seen by 2 other children, who also lived in the home, as she was heading into a remote and rugged area that surrounded the property. Almost immediately, the search for Serenity kicked off, involving more than 1,200 searchers covering approximately 4,500 miles of woodland. Authorities would also track down and follow more than 200 leads, conducting 465 interviews as well. Nearly 70 different agencies got involved in the search using scent dogs, cadaver dogs, aircraft, thermal technology, and nearly 1,200 professionally trained searchers from the Pennington County Sheriff's Office, neighboring jurisdictions, and volunteers. This would end up being one of the largest and most intense searches ever conducted in the state of South Dakota. Despite weeks of searches and all the resources poured into the search, not a single clue was discovered pointing to Serenity's whereabouts. Following her disappearance, new protocols were put into place to prevent any further related incidences from occurring at the home. If you want to read more about the home and search for Serenity, there's a whole lot of information online you can find just by looking up Serenity Dinard. And there you have it. Now as time goes on, it's almost certain, though not guaranteed, that some clues will eventually surface pointing to the whereabouts of these folks. We can all learn a lot about these cases, and use that information to prevent similar incidences like these from happening to us. If you two plan on hiking solo, do your math and use good communication about your plans. Carry a GPS locator device, protection, extra provisions, and weather wear. And of course, be aware of your surroundings.